back. Hari here for Dota Live Net, still casting in the Fnatic Raidcall DotA2 Open number 2. This time it will be a game of Complexity versus Maximum Tards, I think is their name. Hopefully should be slightly more even game than the previous one, although I'm not so certain. Don't really know anything about the Radiant team here, and do know certainly plenty about Complexity. Although Complexity is sometimes a little inconsistent, but I imagine they should have the advantage here. Still, regardless, hopefully should be interesting one way or the other. Anyway, with me casting today is none other than Blitz from Blitz Dota. Blitz, how are you doing?
Hello, pretty good. Pretty excited to see an American team.
Yeah, North American Dota basically hasn't been successful in a really long time. Trying to turn that around, huh?
Hey, we won the DotA2 Cup. Don't forget about that.
Yeah,
Everyone
there was that.
About that.
And XGosu did win the most recent Dota Masters, so there's that.
They won their last 15 games, actually.
Yeah, playing really well.
I think the second best streak, right behind coincidence, Complexity had that insane 34-game win streak before they lost to each.
That was definitely an insane win streak. I couldn't believe it when I actually saw the stats on that they had won that many in a row, but then they basically turned around and lost almost that many in a row.
Well, at the same time, they kind of set the metagame, actually, which was really cool. They had a metagame in mind. They abused the crap out of it. But I know that they've actually been busy in real life, so they haven't been able to stream as much. TC actually had finals, and he went to vacation in Mexico. So they've been on hiatus, kind of playing with ringers and the like for about 3 weeks. But we should see them in full strength, actually, since the International is coming up right around the corner.
Yeah, that should be awesome. I did love seeing Complexity playing at their best a while ago, so hopefully should be interesting to see that just a little bit more. And yeah, I mean, XGosu is very strong. Obviously, the XGosu team, basically before they split up, looked like they could have been, on par with Na'Vi, basically. It was pretty sad to see them split up. So North America Dota certainly has some potential. It'd just be interesting to see that if a North American team can actually stay together for more than a couple months.
Don't jinx us.
Yeah, I know. Just I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Aw, that's really sad.
What?
They just gave up a Lycan, and I know TC loves playing that hero because he farms with that hero better than I've ever seen anybody farm before in my life.
Well, it is unfortunate then they did give up a Lycan. I know Complexity's recent strategies have involved spamming Necrobooks, actually, so Lycan would fit that strategy better than anything. Too bad that they couldn't get it. And they are going to giving up Lycan is not nothing. Lycan, in my opinion, one of the two most imbalanced heroes in the game, along with Furion. So, that will be something for Maximum Tard here, but at the same time, we are going to have a JO Invoker, which is nothing to be scoffed at either. And, wait, no, actually it's going to be a JO Panda and a TC Invoker.
Yep. I anticipate them pushing a lot, because that's what Complexity does. Doing a lot of random smoke ganks and taking towers and then farming. I'm just kidding. I love you, Fluff.
Anyway, we are going to actually see a Pugna. That's a really early Pugna pick. I mean, Pugna's strong against Invoker, not necessarily that strong against Panda. I mean, the Thunderclap... Huh?
Well, it doesn't make sense here because Pugna is never going to get banned. No matter what Complexity picks, they're not going to think to themselves, we have to get rid of this Pugna immediately. So they actually probably could have just waited and taken a good mid hero or a side laner, like Windrunner, and then picked up the Pugna way later on. Mm-hmm. It probably could have been last pick territory. So.
Yeah, and I mean maybe then it would be better set up too, because now Complexity is going to know that Pugna's on the other team and at least consider having to play against that ward. But I don't know. I guess they just they knew that they wanted the Pugna, so they wanted to take that now, so they have more flexibility for the last couple of picks. But I agree, I wouldn't have taken it that early. But I don't know. Tide Pugna Lycan is really strange. It's kind of like has a little bit of schizophrenia as far as what the team lineup actually wants to be. I mean, Lycan is not.
I was just going to say that. Oh, you go ahead first.
I was going to say, well, Lycan's not really much of a team fight hero. He's more of a split pushing team fights much later on. Or, kind of pushing as a group, but Tide is not necessarily the kind of pushing as a group hero. He's more, he's a team fight hero, but not, I don't know. And then Pugna's obviously good at pushing as well, but, you can't really push into Panda Invoker anyway, so I'm not sure exactly what their strategy is going to be with those 3 picks.
I think what they're going to try to do is use the Lycan to, push bot or top. Well, with Pugna and Tide, those are actually pretty good team fight heroes. So they're actually just going to fight 4v5 with the ward. And hope that Lycan can Lycan them. I'm not saying it makes like entire sense, but that's the only reason why you would take a Pugna this quickly.
Yeah, I don't know though. I mean, fighting 4 versus 5 against some teams would work, but against Panda, like Panda is the king of winning 4 versus 5s when you're down.
Yeah, but they have a Lycan, so that's pretty much what they have to do.
Yeah,
they kind of have to cross their fingers and hope it kind of works out.
My prediction is that it probably doesn't.
I mean, they're just going cross their fingers.
Well, I mean, they got tied, so that's kind of important too. Although, actually, I don't know this. Does Ravage affect the Pandas? The ultimate pandas or not?
I think they're magic immune. So,
well, the Earth Panda is magic immune. The rest are, as well as the Earth Panda, are magic resistant, which I'm not sure whether that does affect Ravage or not.
I mean, regardless, it's not gonna help too much against the Panda.
Yeah.
He's gonna tornado one hero and team fight one.
Yeah. Obviously, Panda is pretty ridiculous, and that's why he has been showing up a lot more. And, I mean, he's even been, significantly more popular in Dota 2 so far than he was actually in Dota 1, which is not necessarily strange, because a lot of people feel it's a lot easier to micro. Well, and it is actually just easier to micro in Dota 2 than it was in Dota 1, which makes it kind of Panda more forgiving hero to play, easier to actually use all his abilities, especially since you have, well, I'm not sure how many of these players actually do use QWERTY or AZURT, whatever you want to call the QWRE keys rather than legacy keys. But certainly I would feel using that with the Pandas, knowing that each of your abilities is Q and W rather than slightly random different abilities across the keyboard or different letters across the keyboard. So
I know Complexity at one point they all try to go competitive in LoL and Han. So I'm actually positive they're using QWER, all of them actually, because this group has been together for a really, really long time. The core of JO, Fluff, Hannah, and I'm pretty sure that IX Mike uses legacy keys. I'm actually 95% sure, but he's not playing the Invoker or the Panda, so it doesn't really matter anyways.
Yeah. I could never, those heroes, I can never play a micro hero using legacy keys anymore.
Really? It's not that hard, actually. It's like the Boulder or whatever it is, D, Cold Snap is Y, X is Tornado, stuff like that. It's kind of hard to remember because it makes no sense.
Yeah.
But if you've done it once or twice, you kind of just get used to it. Because I use legacy keys, so.
Oh, do you? No, I stopped. I used actually war keys, I think is what it was called.
Yeah.
When I played Dota anyway, Dota 1 anyway. So, that was partially so that I could switch the keys, but partially also just so that I could actually have real numbers for the items rather than having
instead of the numpad. That game made no sense, honestly.
Yeah.
I played Dota 1 without like a numpad or anything, so I wasn't able to actually ever use any items. That was my hallmark as a competitive player. I was the hard carry, and I would have to like click Manta. It was terrible.
Yeah. Fortunately, we have come a long way thanks to Valve. But anyway, back into the actual picks and bans here. We do have Vengeful Spirit coming up. I guess, in theory, if I was Maximum Tard, if I was going to pick something other than that Pugna, it probably would have been the Vengeful Spirit there anyway. That sort of support is kind of a usual, flexible early pick. So, I guess they ended up getting what they would have gotten anyway. So it didn't change much. Juggernaut actually coming out from Complexity. And now I'm a little bit confused as to who's going to play what, because usually JO plays Juggernaut and usually JO plays Panda. I guess, I don't know, Fluff is going to be playing, maybe it's going to be a side lane solo Invoker? I don't know.
Fluff
not
is
Fluff,
a
Hannah
versatile
Montana.
enough player, so I think you're going to see Hannah play the Invoker or the Panda, and I think TC's going to play... God, this is so weird. I think TC's going to play the Jug, and JO's going to play the Panda, and Hannah's going to play the Invoker.
Yeah.
I'm crossing my fingers as to... So I said JO on the Panda, right?
Yeah, that would be my set of guesses as well. Like I was saying, I guess it just might be a solo side lane.
IX Mike playing the Shadow Demon, if that's... I'm guessing that's support SD. They're probably going to do something like Disruption Clap or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I don't know. They do really like to... even the times when they've had the CM plus Panda, and I've figured that they would do the dual lane mid CM Panda, they've still just ended up soloing the Panda. So I'm guessing still that the Shadow Demon's going to go with the Juggernaut, I guess.
I just don't see any lane synergy with that.
Yeah, well, disruption him, and then Juggernaut's already right there.
There's so many better options. Yeah. No, I can't even begin to fathom that. I have to be sure that they're gonna do 2 dual lanes and an Invoker solo. It's the only logical reasoning for me, anyways.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I agree. That would make sense. Having the tri-lane with Shadow Demon with Juggernaut doesn't really make a lot of sense. Although, I don't know. I mean, typically when they go Juggernaut, it's because they want to go for, fast pushing, basically, and abuse the ward, but they're actually not going to have anything to really push with. Maximum Tards really banned out all those heroes that can come out of the jungle with creeps, the Enigma Chen and Enchantress, really taking that away from complexity. So, I don't know, they don't have a lot of options left as far as... Actually, I mean, they have basically no options left as far as summons goes. So I guess it's just going to have to be a pure support, and they will just do the 2 dual lane. Now, that leads me to believe that the Lina is still going to be with the Shadow Demon and Juggernaut, that you're going to have a tri-lane there, going with the Disruption, Lina Stun, Juggernaut Spin. I don't know. I mean, why else would you...
Alright. Sure. I can't... Yeah. There's so many interesting picks on Complexity's lineup. I never thought I would see Alina, because she's like the most inefficient support hero. Because her stun is impossible to land by itself.
Yeah.
And she's so level reliant.
I agree. I think it's definitely not good support. And I don't know, it doesn't even have, in Home at least it had some purpose, because the passive was actually decent for taking towers, but here the passive...
Her passive is completely useless. Her stun is nearly impossible to land. Her slave only does damage if she has decent levels, but it looks like they're going to tri-lane this, so... It completely goes against everything I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But,
and they end up putting...
I was just going to say that we got the... TC is actually going to play the Invoker, and...
30 seconds to battle.
Yeah, and Hannah's actually going to be on the field solo mid, which is not what I would have expected. We are maybe? No, probably not going to have an engagement here. I wonder who actually they're going to end up sending mid here, if they will end up sending the... Pugna has mid items, so Pugna will be mid. I actually did see once that Navi did a tri-lane with Pugna in the tri-lane with a Lycan actually, to go for an early push, and I thought maybe there was a chance that Maximum Tard would be trying that, but it looks like it's not the case.
Maybe they're doing something crazy and quad laning bottom.
Yeah. Well, I guess you kind of go all in against complexity when you're playing them. But actually, it looks like the Tide is rotating mid, so it looks like we will have Tide. Yeah, maybe he's going to head all the way up top, would be my guess.
We have the wards, too.
Yeah, and because, having him mid with the Panda there just isn't going to accomplish anything, so I don't see... he would get experience, but it wouldn't actually do anything, so I don't see why they would do that. But Lycan is going to... Lycan did go with Quelling Blade first, so he's going to get pretty easy farm here against the Juggernaut, I guess, until the tri-lane gets here, and then he's just going to be completely shut down, so I don't really know. And no, Tide is actually still mid.
Okay, so we have a Tide Pugna lane, very common in competitive Dota.
Yep. Actually, action on bottom. Juggernaut is going to take the Shadow Demon and get the last right click on Lycan. Like I said, as soon as the tri-lane got there, he would be in trouble, but he didn't realize as quickly as I did, and he dies, gets with first blood.
They had to assume the tri-lane was going to be bottom as soon as they saw Jug, so a little bit of a misplay there by him, but at the same time, not much he can do. The Tide actually should have either just gone top or stayed bottom, considering that he's not going to do anything mid. Because if he's mid, the Panda's just going to sit back and farm by the tower. And I don't actually think he's not going to do a lot bottom, but... TC's going to beat the bottom top. Invoker beats bottom really badly, especially in the short lane. And it doesn't help that it looks like they have 2 lanes that are going to lose terribly, and Panda just has to trade farm against that Pugna until teamfights happen.
Yeah. Even with the Tide bottom, even if the Dire hadn't gotten first blood here, they're just going to get destroyed. Even with this kind of suboptimal Lina Shadow Demon Juggernaut tri-lane, Juggernaut tri-lane is usually going to beat most other tri-lanes. Usually the way you beat a Juggernaut tri-lane is just avoid it, and then basically rely on the fact that the hero is essentially useless later on. But the fact that they have to go up against it here is not going to be good for them. So they actually are going to send the Lycan into the jungle, which is a smart move here. It's going to actually guarantee that he can get some farm. Opting to actually take this camp without summoning his wolves, I don't really know what his decision-making process is there. He's got full mana anyway, so might as well regen something. But that's really not his style. He prefers soloing in the jungle. Can you explain this to me?
My expert analysis says that he's going to kill this small creep camp for some reason without using his wolves at all. Well, he doesn't have clarities for one. I think he wasn't anticipating jungling. Okay, well, why use it there then?
Well, and it didn't make sense. Like, in that situation, if the level he was about to top was level 3, I could understand why he was waiting on the wolves, so he could get level 2 wolves rather than 1. But he's just getting a passive anyway, so...
Okay, so now they're just going to team jungle, and...
With some, actually, from VS. And the lion...
They're just giving up on the lane at the bottom, I guess. So, Tide is going to solo and hopefully pick up some levels here. Jug actually doesn't have that much farm, but it doesn't really matter since, like their trialing has been reduced to a team jungling fight, apparently. And they're actually going to win that lane pretty hard. Team versus jungle.
Can't lose
they're
against the jungle. Or hopefully can't lose against the jungle, actually. Lycan's going to have to send himself a Bassi pretty soon here. Has reduced himself back to killing the weak camp here without wolves. Now that his wolf died, he actually did a pretty poor job of microing the weak wolf back, so it died pretty quickly. And now he's going to go to the other. He's actually just going to wait for the hard camp here. Yeah, I shouldn't be following the jungling hero so much, but it actually entertains me.
Yeah, it's one of those things you just can't look away. Because I've been
no, you can't. It's just like when you see a car accident, and yeah.
But at the same time, I'm kind of surprised. What they should be doing right now is just double stacking and pulling it and trying to get a level advantage, and hopefully Lycan hit 6 and Tide hit 6 at a reasonable time so they can win this lane. Because when that does happen, when Tide hits 6, they are going to win the... I mean, that's a guaranteed one team fight. You just hit V and you've won the team fight. Same time, Oma's going to get caught up here.
Tide is going to get caught here. The Disruption Illusion is going to kind of block the Juggernaut, but it doesn't matter. He was smart enough to go around in the trees, and Tide is going to go down as a first blood. Oh wait, no, not a first blood. I forgot the Lycan that a while ago in the lane. Actually, a second
now
blood.
Yeah, they're going to concede this tower like really quickly to no heroes that push, apparently. And I assume that TC's just winning top dominantly. Yeah, he's actually just got phase boots already. He's got 27 CS, 13 denies, whereas... Yeah, 3 and 3, so... I mean, that's not terribly uncommon, though, considering that Invoker does 80 damage a hit and has a much better attack animation than Bottom does. But at the same time, Dota's a game where, especially in the... Well, as I say that, the Pugna gets a free kill on mid, but... Dota's a game where you want to try to at least win as many lanes as you possibly can, or if you're going to lose the lanes, like, something positive has to happen, you know. If top is getting stomped like this, their bottom lane has to be dominating, but that isn't the case right now, so... what's their name? Maximum Tards are just going to get further and further behind.
Yeah, well, they seem to be living up to their name, at least, which is always a plus.
No, that's rude. You can't do that, man.
You can't do that?
They're going to watch this VOD now, and they're going to be like, that guy's a Flame Lord. But at the same time, I mean, I love you, Maximum Tards.
Bottom is actually going to go down top to the Invoker's Cold Snap. Is enough to kill him. Doesn't even need level 7. Does have that now, but doesn't really matter. I'm actually going for a Sage's Mass. So might just be picking up a Bassi, or possibly going for a Medallion for a quick Roche steal. I don't really know. Obviously, just having the mana regen is just nice when you're in a soul lane.
I mean, at this point, he's getting farmed. He has 34 CS. 19 denies now. 1 kill. They've got a free tower at bottom for them.
Action mid. Pugna's going to go down to gank roaming squad from the ridiculous double roaming strategy of the Lina Shadow Demon catching the Pugna mid.
Actually does a lot of damage, though, with the Soul Catcher. It's like 500 damage instantly. Or more than that, actually. I mean, that's one of the really big benefits of having Shadow Demon on your team. The Soul Catcher just amplifies so much. So even if you're not super high level, the spells are just going to do a lot, and Jug is actually just farming uncontested bottom. He has a Soul Ring now, so he's just going to spin to win constantly. He's actually going to steal the Lycan's jungle and shaking his fist now at him.
Lycan's level 3 at 6-7 minutes, so yeah, it hasn't been a very good game for him. I guess that's one way you take care of the imbalanceness of Lycan, is just prevent him from actually ever gaining any levels. That'll kind of shut him down, huh?
Yeah, that first blood kind of just went disastrously for them, especially, and I think the benefit, or the downside, was that they put the Tide mid for 30 seconds for no reason, and I think actually Hannah Montana is going to go down bottom, or middle again. One more hit, yep, and he actually gets the ward off, which kills him. That was a nice play by the Pugna. Gets the ward off right when Hannah starts to split, and I don't actually know if that triggers the cooldown. Nope, it doesn't.
No, it's does have a haste rune as well, so it's a little unfortunate going down with a haste rune bottle like that, but good play by by Rameth, and at the request of our streamer, our VOD recorder, we should take a look at the gold graph. Unsurprisingly, about a 4,000 gold advantage for the Dire. Experience, only 2,500, not near as much, but it's hard to get that much experience at 7.5 minutes in the game, so that'll do just fine. Tide is actually going to get level 6, though, which, I don't know, it's kind of something... Juggernaut's actually very good against Tide, though, because you can just go in, spin, ult on the Tide, which kind of puts Tide into a difficult position of choosing whether he wants to use his ult on nothing or die before using his ult. So Juggernaut's going to be pretty effective against that, even once Tide does get to 6.
Yeah, Pugna is actually getting kind of close to his back now. He only needs about 1,000 gold. And I don't actually, but none of the other heroes have any farm at all. And
Tide is actually down at the bottom. It does get disruption. Yeah, he's just going to melt. It does do a little damage to buff and stuff before dying, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, sorry, continue.
And they're going to get a free tier 2 now, and it looks like top is going to get pushed out too. TC is getting only like 400 gold now from a Yules and phase boots at 8 minutes, so farm on him is ridiculous. No, he's actually just getting a 4-staff. Yep, he's got a full 4-staff at 8 minutes, so that hero is unkillable. Like, unless he gets a 5-second arrow, and even then things are iffy if they don't come with dust, considering it's a 4-staff. Lycan is trying to set up a gank here, but he's not level 6, so...
I think he's just happy to have found a jungle that he can farm in uncontested, rather than...
apparently he's just... I don't want to laugh at this, but he lost the jungle.
That's a good stuff. Meanwhile, though, he's going to come on TC. He does eat an arrow. He is actually dusted, and the Pugna Blast does a lot of damage. The sun's going to come out from BS, and Lycan does manage to get a kill on him, so much for unkillable, huh?
They have dust. They have dust, and Sapping is Pop did get stuck, trying to get that kill, so she's going to have to TP out now. Tide is actually level 6, but he doesn't have boots at all, opting to go Magic Wand first, which I don't necessarily agree with, as I think that support heroes, Tide is a support hero. He should be, unless you're Na'Vi, of course. You should try to... Boots are pretty much the first thing you want to get, and it looks like they're at least going to be able to put damage on top tower, but meanwhile, Complexity's just going to get another free tier 2 tower, and that should mean ridiculous farm for all of them.
Complexity doing a lot of pushing without actually any pushing heroes. I mean, the Juggernaut is kind of a pushing hero, and I mean, Panda works in a pushing lineup, but yeah.
I mean, they're not using any spells to take them, though. They haven't had to use the Panda split, and the Jug actually just kind of pops his heal randomly, and they're going to take actually a free Roshan here. With the Healing Ward, they should take this in relatively efficient fashion without losing too much. The lanes are so pushed in that they should see Maximum Tards coming in from a mile away. For some reason, the Lycan is smoked, but none of the other heroes are. I mean, if you're going to use a smoke, the really important thing to do here is that you want to try to catch at least 2 heroes in there, and the ones that the Venge would like to get in would be the bottom and the Tide, just so they could set something up and bait somebody. But Venge smoked by yourself doesn't actually do too much, and it's actually just going to pop for nothing. And smoke is one of those items that's really deceptive. It only costs 100 gold to buy, but the cooldown timer on it is so long, and it should almost always lead to a wand team fight or a free kill. So using it like that, it's really costly.
Yeah, well, I mean,
no.
He used it on the Lycan as well, so it did guarantee that the Lycan was able to make it to the jungle uncontested. So that's part of their master plan of retaking the jungle, winning the one lane that they can.
I mean, it's a lane, it counts. Full jungle all the time.
Yeah, basically.
But now it looks like he's just going to get into team fights now, because, I mean, Lycan's not in the position where you can Lycan them. That's a thing, by the way. Lycaning some.
Oh, actually, TC putting a little pressure on the Pugna top. Doesn't have a ton of movement speed, but decides not to chase. He does only have Quas and Wex at this point because he's only level 10, so doesn't have a lot of options for killing heroes if his initial combo doesn't do much. But they are just going to try to pressure this top tower. Panda has something flying to him on the curve. I'm assuming it's a Blink. No, it's a Vlad's, actually, I guess, for the pushing. Makes sense. Doesn't really want to jump in on the team fights, I guess, and just wants to play the sustainable push a little bit more. Pugna can try to blast back this creep wave. looking to take this tower, but actually all the Radiant have rotated up here except for the Lycan, so they are currently actually Lycaning them. The Lycan's just not doing his part. And meanwhile, Jo is actually pushing in the bottom. Did give drums before they took Roche.
Yeah, Lycan's one of those heroes that to properly utilize, what you want to do is, ideally, while your team defends or pushes as 4, you can just push a tower by yourself. It's really not worth it for Lycan especially to just jungle, but at the same time he can't really do much.
Oh, actually, TP going to come in top. Disruption coming out. Hannah Montana actually does get stuck, even though he's inhibited, but he's going to get his ult off. Nice side ult, actually. Going to do a lot of damage here. Shadow Demon does go down, but meanwhile the Panda is going to just kind of run rampant here. All the Radiant in a lot of trouble at this point, and most of them are going to die. The drums from Jo helping to catch, and the tower is going to go down as well. Sorry, continue.
Oh no, I was just going to say that what you want to do is you want to push or defend as 4 and have Lycan split push, kind of similar to what we saw Fnatic do at the same time last game, but it's Jo just kind of stood at bottom against him, so that wouldn't happen. Really smart play by Complexity. That's kind of what Meow needed to do last game against Complexity, or Fnatic I mean, but they really didn't have the heroes, whereas Complexity is off to such a big start and the Lycan is so underfarmed. He's not even close to what that anti-mage had, so not really able to fully utilize that, and I question the validity of
Tornado
that
like
fucking in. There's no reason for him to TP.
Little damage coming out on Jo. Jo's just going to back up, and yeah, that's going to be all the outer towers at 14 minutes. Yeah, don't really know. There's not a lot more to say about it than that. Taking a look at the gold graph again, that's going to be probably about 14,000 gold difference at 14 minutes, so that's 1,000 gold difference per minute, which is usually the signature of an extreme stomp.
Yeah. I mean, the picks are okay, but at the same time, these little things where it just looks like Maximum Tards is a little inexperienced, like picking the Pugna second. What you want to try to do in the picking phase of Dota is you want to keep it hidden, so you don't want to reveal what your plan is off the bat, so the other team doesn't have as much time to respond with their picks. Because Dota, the picking, unless you're Na'Vi, it's kind of like a counter-picking thing where you see somebody exhibit one strategy and you do your best to try to work around it. But at the same time, they didn't really do that as much as they could have. And the laning phase just went really badly for them. I mean, the score is only 4-9, so it's not like it doesn't look like they're terribly out of the game, but the tower score is really what matters. It's 1-6 in that sense. So,
yeah,
I mean, that's just a really one-sided game.
If you look at where Complexity is on the map at this point, they're basically just farming all the lanes without worries. Hannah Montana in a little bit of trouble here mid, but he's way too tanky. He's just going to run out. The ward actually plays for Jo, and they're going to try to turn this one back around. Jo going to get the ult. Tide just dies actually before even being able to get the Ravage. Lugano Blade going to come out, doing a lot of damage to DS. DS actually going to be alright, but Lycan is going to go down. And DS is going to TP out. Purge coming out from the Shadow Demon. It's not going to be enough unless the Purge pops. No, it's not actually going to pop. Oh, it does actually pop. Wow. Level 2 Purge? No, it's level 1. It's just 200 damage. Thought he would regen more than that up, and they're going to turn this into a push on the tier 3 tower here, trying to end the game in as quick as fashion as possible.
Yeah. Did you know, by the way, just on a side note, that there was like a bug for Dota where if Panda gets purged, like all 3 of his things, they die instantly?
Really?
Yeah. Well, I saw somebody do it in a pub game. It was hilarious. But just on a side note, since nothing else is happening, but if you get 3 purge sticks against the Panda, it actually completely counters them.
Yeah, I guess that is one way to beat the Panda.
So, I mean, if the Potom gets one, the Lycan gets one, and the Vengeful Spirit gets one.
Maybe that's their strategy, who knows? You're spoiling it for them a little too soon, and you're going to seem like a clairvoyant when they do it. But I don't really see this game even going long enough to see that many purges. Panda does have enough money for the Blink now, which I've got to guess he's going to go at this point. Just
he's going to Axe too at this point. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. But the one nice thing I like about Complexity though is that they really know how to finish games. They're not one of those teams that there's a lot of teams in Dota that they'll get off to a decent start and then they'll just squander it. But Complexity is really a team that knows how to carry over an advantage, and that's kind of what led to their ridiculous win streak, because they just did nothing stupid in the late game. Caused them games. Right now that's what they're doing. They're just safely farming, pushing out all the lanes, looking for a decent team fight.
Yeah, we'll have to see where the opportunity presents itself. I mean, yeah, basically at this point it doesn't even matter how long Maximum Tard holds out at this point because Complexity is farming their jungle, efficiently farming all 3 lanes, and just giving Maximum Tard no room. So, yeah, I mean, they can turtle in their base as long as they want, and they're actually losing more of an advantage as time passes, which is kind of the worst situation you want. When you're turtling, generally you want it to be that you're kind of at least equal on farm that you're gaining, so that if as more time passes, you at least have a chance to catch up. Because if the difference stays the same as the game progresses, percentage-wise, the difference becomes less significant. And in theory, you should have better late game. Those are the 2 principles of turtling. But in this case, I mean, look at the lanes. They can't even step near the creep waves while Complexity's farming them in their fourth of the map, like the inner fourth of Maximum Tard's map. And it's still being safely farmed by Complexity without Maximum Tard really contesting at all, which is too bad of a situation. And yeah, I don't know. Not a lot to say about it beyond that. Obviously, the blink from the Panda, I think, instead of the Aghanims, indicates that they are looking to try to force a fight soon, and like you said, just kind of close out the game. But it looks like Maximum Tard looking for a fight as well. They are going to smoke up and try to find someone in the woods here. They have vision on Shadow Demon, so I guess they're going to go for him. He's a pretty enticing target. Doesn't have a Force Staff. Does have a gem. Arrow actually just barely going to miss, but he's not going to have anyone to help him out. Panda is probably going to blink in here. Clap an ult. I assume it does blink in clap. The stun actually going to come out from Lina. Tide ult not really doing a whole lot there.
Oh my god.
What? Alright, well, Blitz is cracking up. Meanwhile, I'm going to finish talking about how Tide is actually going to go down here. Lycan is actually invis from Mirana's ult, but is probably going to get caught. Does still have his ult, actually, so he can run out if he wants to. Purge is going to come out on him, and he's just going to pop his ult and run to the left here. Smart move, since he kept going through his base, he would have died. And, meanwhile, Brewmaster's going to pop a regen rune, and they're going to keep pressing the tower. So what was exactly so funny there?
Sorry, well, the Tide, I mean, if he had waited a little bit, he could have gotten the ult off, but what happened here was at the jungle, the bottom panic left into the top area, you know where the ward is, where it sees everything? The left of the camp. So she just, like, panic left up there. But she was out of mana, so she couldn't do anything. She's like standing up there, and Fluff was taking pot shots at her because they have a ward up there. Yeah. It just looks hilarious. She panicked and just like the only place she couldn't leave. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know. It's I mean, if you watch many Dota cinema videos, it's where people always get vacuumed up to or stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. It just looks really funny.
Yeah.
It was so perfect.
I didn't actually catch that. I was just watching the Tide going down, and the nice blink in from Panda catching 4 with the clap, and then doing a lot of damage. But yeah, I don't know. Mech is up on Lina. I guess I should take a look at his items. TC went for kind of a little bit of everything. Probably going to go for his Hex next item. Just went for the Point Booster because it's such a nice item to have. We'll turn that into an Aghanims if the game goes long enough, but it doesn't really matter. Probably won't. Jo did end up getting Purge. Maybe trying to give a hint toward. Well, I mean, it's pretty effective against Lycan, and they have the double Purge now, so Lycans really have trouble. Hamilton actually manning up against Pugman mid. Pugman just decides to throw down his ward and run away, offering it up as a sacrifice to Jo, who's happy to take the 80 gold. And I don't think there's any big items. Actually, Mech is done on Pugna. He was close to that a while ago, and he does have it now. Mech and Treads. Treads is a little bit interesting on Pugna. Normally, I would expect to see Arcanes, but I guess when you have a bottle, it still adds a fair amount of mana to actually have Treads. So
yeah, and he needs some sort of survivability against all their combos, because otherwise he just gets one-shotted. By pretty much, like, the Lina ult alone with Soul Catcher should be enough to kill him.
Panda tried blinking it on the Vengeful Spirit, but wasn't quite in position for the clap, decided not to throw out a Drunken Haze. And, it's only a matter of time now until, basically another fight happens in which Maximum Tards loses, and they lose another Rax, which should basically signify the end of the game. Complexity doing the smart thing, going to come take Roche. I think Jo didn't even lose the Aegis in that last fight, did he? I don't imagine that he did.
No, he actually didn't. It was actually just a timer, and this is kind of what Complexity does. Even when they're far ahead like this, they just try to carry over an advantage. I mean, it's not necessary for them to pop this Aegis, but the way that Dota is if one lost team fight happens, that could lead to 1 or 2 towers, and I mean, I don't think it's possible, but Maximum Tards does have the heroes to do it. They have a Tide Hunter, they have a Lycan that can push really quickly, and a Pugna Blast, I think it does around 100 damage per tower, or per blast to a tower, so if worse comes to worse, they do have the Aegis now at least, and they do carry a pretty large gold advantage now too, and I think they all actually individually have buyback, from what it seems. I think Fluff is the only one that doesn't, so we're just going to actually see Complexity push out here. What's going to happen is they're just going to blink in behind the Panda and then start the fight like that. And the only way for Maximum Tards to win is if the Tide Hunter gets the ult off before the Panda can, and it does too much damage. That's ideal for them anyways. I think if bottom just ults right now and they go in,
that's the thing to go for, but the cold snap actually on the Tide is going to be a little bit too much for him to get in position time. Jo actually does eat a 4-second arrow, which is going to hold him there for a while. Panda is going to throw out his ult. The Kuna Blade coming out from Lina on the Mirana, but basically both teams are just going to essentially back off. Juggernaut actually taking down Bunch's Spirit before he dies. Actually, no, I was wrong. They aren't going to back off. Radiant runs back in. Kind of foolishly. I assumed they were out and they could make it, but they decided they wanted to keep fighting. Juggernaut does lose the Aegis, though. It doesn't really matter. Cold Snap's going to be enough to finish off the Lycan, and now is the Radiant going to back off? No, because they don't have the option of backing off since this is their tower, but I assume they would. Actually, a fair amount of damage. Oh, nice arrow again from on TC. This Rana getting some good arrows, but Panda getting a huge clap blink, and actually is going to do a ton of damage to all the heroes. I didn't realize Tide actually did buy back. Basically has no items. I guess that's how he has buyback money. Hannah Montana actually does go down on the Panda, and that Complexity is going to be forced to buy back. So, I mean, Maximum Tards holds, but only temporarily. Jo will have a ward up. Yeah, and there's the ward right now. And with that, I assume they will continue to try to push in, finish off this tower with the next creep wave. Lycan will be back up, but without the Pugna, they don't really have much damage, and actually, just opting to call the GGs instead of drawing the game out any further.
Yeah, that was actually a decent fight, though, for Maximum Tards. If Jo didn't have the Aegis there, they actually, I think, would have been out ahead there, but, I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter because the farm advantage is so one-sided. You can really tell that Maximum Tards is super far behind because the Lycan is actually... He's not using his ult offensively, he's always using it to run away. So that kind of just tells you the story of the game that, I mean, he has no items to survive. For Lycan to really be effective, he at least needs a Vlad and a BKB, but it doesn't look like he's anywhere close to BKB, so...
I guess Maximum Tards is happy with the extent that they got raped, it not being that severe. Not knowing that it's actually about 25,000 gold difference, maybe. But regardless, I guess they're content to have gotten 7 kills. And, yeah, well, that's basically
I mean, they did win the team fight at bottom.
Yeah.
If not for the Aegis. So that is something positive to look at. They did engage with the fight well, but as soon as the Tide hit 6, and because he was soloing at bottom, he actually hit it at a reasonable time. What you want to do with Tide is as soon as you hit 6, you want to look for team fights. But the farm advantage was so heavily in favor of Complexity at this point that it didn't really matter how quickly he got 6.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I don't know. They did win the team fight there, but I feel like the only reason they won the team fight is because Complexity was just forcing uphill. I mean, normally you're not going to go high ground without a pick-off or something like that at basically any point in the game because it's just too hard to push in. Obviously, when you're up this far, up this much, you can actually do something like that. So, I don't know. But yeah, still, I guess it's something. Regardless, it was an interesting game to watch from both teams. Some unorthodox picks coming out from Complexity, at least slightly, with the Lina and kind of the Juggernaut. So, well played by both teams, and we will actually be right back with round 3, which hopefully should be a more interesting matchup. So stay tuned, guys.